My name is Murray Rothbeard. I live in far southwest Texas. This is an opinion piece for Infowars.com.
Chuki.
I'm pretty old. One of the things I wonder about in my advanced years is how the hell the deep state convinced people that Eisenhower should be ignored. The whole time I was growing up, all I heard from Republicans was how great of a president he was and what a great leader he was. And there was all these war movies about him, documentaries. Looked like a pretty straight up guy, a good president. So I had to wonder, like, what did they tell people? Man, I know they're really good at manipulating people's minds, but this is beyond comprehension to me. I mean, Eisenhower, how do you do it? Well, it's simple. Come to find out, you just say he's a Russian, soft on the Ruskies, in bed with Putin. It's all it takes. It's all it ever took. The CIA had given this guy a lot of bad advice. The footage you're seeing behind me, it's about the U-2 spy plane incident. Man, it wasn't just that. While it was in office, they were planning the Bay of Pigs, which really put Kennedy in a bad situation where he said he wanted to get rid of the CIA and the entire deep state operation. So, after a lot of investigation, they made it look like he was getting senile, up in ears, and he couldn't be trusted, and that he had let the American public down in the security situation several times with the Soviets. There were contrasting reports from the deep state about the strength of the Soviet military. It was all exaggerated. When Eisenhower found out about it, he got some correct reports made. They went nowhere. It's because it was the deep state. They didn't care if it was Eisenhower. People weren't paying attention. They weren't woke. And that's the message of this. People weren't woke back then. We get a lot more information now. We got no excuse. We got the world in our pockets. The only difference between an uneducated person and an educated person is looking at a web page. All they had to do was say he was in bed with the Russians and he was soft on the Ruskies. Here's
like every other citizen, I wish the new president and all who will labor with him Godspeed. We now stand 10 years past the midpoint of a century that has witnessed 4 major wars among great nations. 3 of these involved our own country. Despite these holocausts, America is today the strongest, the most influential, and most productive nation finds imbalance and frustration. The record of many decades stands as proof that our people and their government have, in the main, understood these truths and have responded to them well in the face of threat and stress. But threats, new in kind or degree, constantly arise. Of these I mention 2 only. A vital element in keeping the peace is our military establishment. Our arms must be mighty, ready for instant action, so that no potential aggressor may be tempted to risk his own destruction. Our military organization today bears little relation to that known of any of my predecessors in peacetime, or indeed by the fighting men of World War II or Korea. Until the latest of our world conflicts, the United States had no armaments industry. American makers of plowshares could, with time and as required, make swords as well. But we can no longer risk emergency improvisation of national defense. we have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. Added to this, 3.5 million men and women are directly engaged in the defense establishment. We annually spend on military security alone more than the net income of all United States corporations. Now, this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together. Akin to and largely responsible for the sweeping changes in our industrial military posture has been the technological revolution during recent decades. In this revolution, research has become central. It also becomes more formalized, complex, and costly. A steadily increasing share is conducted for, by, or at the direction of the federal government. Today, the solitary inventor, tinkering in his shop, has been overshadowed by task forces of scientists in laboratories and testing fields. In the same fashion, the free university, historically the fountainhead of free ideas and scientific discovery, has experienced a revolution in the conduct of research. Partly because of the huge costs involved, a government contract becomes virtually a substitute for intellectual curiosity. For every old blackboard, there are now hundreds of new electronic computers. The prospect of domination of the nation's scholars by federal employment, project allocations, and the power of money is ever present and is gravely to be regarded. Yet in holding scientific research and discovery in respect, as we should, we must also be alert to the equal and opposite danger that public policy could itself become the captive of a scientific, technological elite. It is the task of statesmanship to mold, to balance, and to integrate these and other forces, new and old, within the principles of our democratic system, ever aiming toward the supreme goals of our free society. Another factor in maintaining balance involves the element of time. As we peer into society's future, we, you and I, and our government must avoid the impulse to live only for today, plundering for our own ease and convenience the precious resources of tomorrow. We cannot mortgage the material assets of our grandchildren without risking the loss also of their political and spiritual heritage. We want democracy to survive for all generations to come, not to become the insolvent family of tomorrow. During the long lane of the history yet to be written, America knows that this world of ours, ever growing smaller, must avoid becoming a community of dreadful fear and hate, and be instead a proud confederation of mutual trust and respect. Such a confederation must be one of equals. The weakest must come to the conference table with the same confidence as do we. protected as we are by our moral, economic, and military strength. Now, on Friday noon, I am to become a private citizen. I am proud to do so. I look forward to it. Thank you, and good night.
Someone very profoundly once said,
And with that,
if fascism ever comes to
it was on the new frontier.
of liberalism.
Forget about Eisenhower.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are resistance.
We are drugged out. We are following other people's opinion. We are controlled by the media. Today, it all changes. This reality has been forced upon us. It is a choice. Just like when I said slavery is a choice. Einstein says the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. So we keep on saying, I hate you, fuck you. How are we going to get a different result out of hate? Why don't we just try love? Why don't we just try love? We have the resources for a peaceful world. You know, sometimes you need some crazy motherfuckers to change something. Steve Jobs is crazy. Now we all on Steve Jobs' phones. They say Trump's crazy. They say I'm crazy. But I'm here to show love. It's a bigger plan, and I'm just doing what the universe told me.
Resistance to tyrants is obedience to God. It's Alex Jones.
Climb to the top of the food chain with Alpha Power by InfoWars Life. For those who want to increase testosterone and energy levels. Most men know that testosterone levels begin to decline starting around 30 at a rate of about 1 to 2% per year. This drop can show signs such as fatigue, low energy, low sex drive, and muscle loss. Alpha Power is packed with some of the most potent and clinically tested ingredients on the market. The secret is in the synergistic blend of ancient ingredients that have been concentrated into their most potent forms, including Uricoma longifolia, originally from Malaysia, maca root from Peru, horny goatweed from China, and tribulus from India. Reach your alpha male potential with Alpha Power. Head to InfoWarsLife.com and secure your bottle today.